Hi. We watched Daisies, the 1966 Czech film.
I don't even know what to say. Okay.
This is my second time seeing it. This is Mark's first time. We'll have to talk about the experience of my first time showing it, but that's for later. So Mark.
Well, I have to go first.
Yeah, because I feel like I have too much prepared.
Okay.
Like I was, yeah.
Man. Shoot. Okay, this reminds me of an anime that's going on right now. That's very postmodern and absurdist, and I'm sad because I can't think of the name. But if you know what I'm talking about, that's a recommendation.
Jeez. Now I'm sad.
This fried my brain. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. Like I can think of a few things that come close, but yeah.
I can think of one film that comes
what is
kind
that?
of close. Pierre Le Fou.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty close.
Yeah, that would be like my strongest recommendation for those who like this film. Jean-Luc Godard, Pierre Le Fou.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I guess the reason I'm hesitating so much is I don't even know if this is a film that's like meant to be analyzed like the way we're used to.
It's an interesting point.
Like there are things you can say about it, and you can like look at the imagery and say, oh, this can mean this and this can mean that. But the general vibe of the film is like, the world is a horrible place, so let's just have fun and not care.
It's it's total anarchy.
Yeah.
And it shows that in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes something visually striking would happen, and it feels empty. It does not feel like we know what it means. It feels like it's just there.
Okay, I got a reverse recommendation.
Yeah.
If you've seen this film, you would be very interested in this film. You know what it is?
Persona?
No.
But
V for Vendetta.
What? I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So.
V for Vendetta is the most mainstream example of anarchy that is like popular. So the way V for Vendetta presents it is this from a graphic novel, and it's like a very specific view on anarchy in the context of like a post-apocalyptic, post-future, like a futuristic Britain.
Dystopian
Britain, yeah. Where like government, that's a totally different beast. But like if you're interested in anarchy mixed with Dadaism and absurdism, that's what this is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about comparison with Persona? I mean, they're totally different films.
Why Persona?
I feel like
I see no comparison.
some of just some of the more. First of all, I think they came out the same year.
Okay.
But also because of some of the technical accomplishments.
Oh, you mean like the cinematography and the way it uses color and stuff?
The way it cuts, the way it breaks down cinema, the way it kind of breaks free of cinema, the way it tries to break free of cinema, because Persona does that, except much more sparingly, but there are
kind of.
It's not a strong
That's
recommendation.
not a very strong example.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, but Persona is way too narrative based. It's way too rooted in a narrative, I think, to the first 10 minutes of Persona. And I can see it. After the first 10 minutes, no.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, sure.
Another thing I could think of, it's actually not a film, it's the sometimes approach taken by Liggety's music.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Like, I haven't seen it, but I know there's an opera that's like an anti-opera that Liggety has written. I imagine that would be very similar to this. Also, like, there's a vocal piece that I can't remember that it's just like the singer's just doing the most batshit and crazy things. It's like,
it's called, I think it's actually called something like L'Avventura. It means the adventures.
Yeah. Oh, the Aventures. Yeah.
L'Aventures.
L'Aventures.
Yes.
Yeah. That piece of music is very reminiscent of this stuff. Speaking of music, way this film is scored, I love it so much.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy.
It's nuts. Don't go into spoilers.
I'm not going to go to spoilers, but it makes me curious how they made it, and we can talk about more about that later. But this is masterful film work. Or if masterful is not the right word, like very different and exciting, and the way it ties in with the picture is exquisite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the star rating?
I don't know. I mean, my gut reaction is 4.
Oh, wow.
Were you expecting higher or lower?
I thought it was, because the way you said it, I've never seen anything like this. And I thought it was going to be 5.
Yeah, this is not 5 for me.
Okay.
Mainly because there were way too many times during the film where I just wasn't engaged as I would have liked to have been.
Okay.
But yeah, despite that, I'm still blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a high 4.5 to low 5 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. And I'll talk about why we won't go into spoilers.
Yeah.
It's a little tougher to, yeah.
Would you call this a feminist film?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a feminist film.
Absolutely feminist. And the director's female.
Oh, it's definitely feminist, yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't in a way that's so playful. But then...
Yeah, it's very different from very many, like, feminists' ways of being feminists.
Yeah.
That sounded weird way to say that. But...
No, it makes a lot of sense. And I also think... Oh, shit, I had something to say, but I don't remember. Oh, yeah, it's very much a sign of the times. And I'll tell you why when we get into spoilers. But there's one particular thing that might help you understand parts of this film better.
Okay.
What the film code is of the time.
Oh, okay.
And also, yeah.
Yeah, that probably helps, I would imagine.
Yeah. There are also moments that I think there are very meta moments.
I didn't see that many.
Really? There were a couple that I caught that I'm like, I think that's... Like, I can make a strong case for it being meta.
I'm curious to hear them, because that maybe strikes me as, like, maybe you seeing it as meta.
Okay.
Because we kind of look for that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
I think there are at least 2 very strong moments, I think.
Okay.
But by strong... Yeah, it feels like halfway through... It definitely feels a little longer than its runtime.
Yeah, oh my god.
Because the film is an hour and 17, 18 minutes. Mm-hmm. But it feels like an hour and 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Which is interesting, because the second viewing also had that. And I had such a ball... Okay, that should be the spoilers. Like, when we actually break down... like how the film is laid out, that's more spoiler talk.
Yeah.
But if you're into really artsy, really creative films, you should give it a shot.
We gotta get better at saying that sort of stuff.
I don't know, but with this,
I mean, yeah, but especially with this film, it's hard. It's hard to say, like, because nothing's quite like this film.
Yeah, and it's hard to say who is gonna like it and who's not gonna like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, this should be non-spoiler, but like, the first time I showed this, it was at school. There were only two other people that came. And I did this as part of a double feature with Fantastic Planet, a very surreal animation film. And I showed this first. And the mood was just not there, and everyone thought it was painfully slow. Huh. Like, so slow. And, yeah, one of them still says that it's the slowest film they've ever seen in their lives.
Interesting.
Today.
Yeah, I would... Personally, I would not consider it the slowest film I've ever seen.
Yeah, no.
There are parts of it that are slow.
Uh-huh.
And there are parts that I wasn't as engaged because of the total anarchy to any sort of narrative structure. But yeah, some of the parts of the film were just jaw-droppingly engaging.
Yeah.
But because the film is so ADD, it goes all over the place with its own attention.
I think on a second viewing, I understand more of what it's trying to do. And maybe it's because my brain is more zoned in and analyzing it more critically. Huh. I found it way more engaging.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Since you know where it's going, you sort of...
I know where it's... Yeah. And I know which part I felt unengaged the first time. So a lot of those moments actually surprised me in how engaging they actually were.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel like there's it's hard to talk about this, but I think we should just go into spoilers.
I think it's spoiler time.
I think it's spoiler time.
Yeah.
Spoiler time.
Okay.
Okay. So what I think is that the film is aware when it gets unengaging. Because of how the characters, they have a lot of fun. They stop having fun. They start questioning. I mean, they're always questioning things. There are moments where all they do is ask questions. Sometimes it's accompanied by like activity, like just the most random activity. But there is a clear moment, what I would call maybe the second act or second act to the beginning of third act, if you can even give it a 3-act structure, where it seems like they don't know what to do, and they still try to do things, but they don't know what to do. And I think putting it into that context, I think it works. I think it's supposed to make us feel unengaged.
What do you mean by it works? Like it's justified?
I think it's justified.
Okay.
Just as a work of art. Because I feel like the beginning of the film, the tone is set to be, this is going to entertain you the whole way. It very much even this time, it made me feel like that. But then halfway through, it stopped being that. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, they start asking myself, they start asking themselves, why am I here? Why are we here? And, these questions it's very much the point of the movie. But, like, they literally stop doing things. And even though they try to do interesting things, as an audience, they aren't as engaging. And they're not as intriguing.
I can maybe see that. I didn't really take it that way, but I can see what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any spoilery things that you want to start talking about? This is a tough one. This is a doozy. Okay, the thing I want to say about the code is, you could figure from the very last text on the film about the beat up lettuce, is that playing with food in film is very looked down upon at the time.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you think about the way it's built up, one of the first things you see in the film, near the beginning, is them basically getting a sugar daddy to buy them food, and they start playing with it.
Yeah.
But it's very, very small at first.
Yeah.
And then there's the apple juggler dude. Mm-hmm. And then it gets worse and worse. And then you see them cutting sausage, all the phallic foods, which is really funny. That's a great scene. Yeah, that might be one of the best scenes in the movie. And then the ending is complete insanity. And I really like the way they built it up, because there were right before the final scene, the final set piece with the banquet, is one of the most surreal moments where they start cutting each other's body parts. And I think that's another high point where the film suddenly becomes engaging again. And then right after that scene, they end up in the basement, they ride the elevator, and the entire rest of the movie is dedicated to that one idea of ruining food. And I think that's what made me really, really appreciate it. Like, I can't imagine being someone in the time and just watching it. And then the mockish way they try to clean it up afterwards is just the biggest fuck you, the biggest middle finger you could have given. I almost wish they didn't make it so obvious with the typing at the end, but because of the way it's like boom, 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 the way they presented it, I was okay with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also the juxtaposition with like the chandelier dropping, being, like bombs and the bigger like to bring that back at the end is so powerful.
Do you think that's like a Vietnam thing or like a
I think it's
Japanese
more. It's
thing,
definitely more the atomic bomb.
Okay.
It's definitely the nuclear, because if the Cuban Missile Crisis happened
so it's like a Cold War
in the
thing.
early 60s. Yeah, because the world was basically on nuclear alert.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then. Yeah. And then houses fall down, and because the rest of the film is so microscopic after the opening credits, where it seemed like it's only about these two women's lives, the way they bring the ending back, I think is very powerful. And I don't even know why I completely forgot about that the first time I watched it. Maybe it's because of the feeling in the room where everyone just thought it was really dull by that point. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, the banquet at the end was actually a lot slower for me, just because it's like a much, like, it's only one idea and they really spend their time with it. And it wasn't like the zaniness of them cutting off their heads and shit.
Right. Right. I can see that. It takes its time.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to see this again in a few years and just...
A few years.
And see how I feel about it.
All right.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to... Yeah, okay. I think... Because a lot of what they do in the first half has to do with how they manipulate men.
Yeah.
And then they realize that that doesn't bring as much joy as they think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the coolest scene, again, to bring back to the cutting phallic foods, there was a dude on the phone telling them how much he craves them. And then they were just cutting bananas, cutting sausages. Yeah. And I think the first time I actually didn't catch it. For some reason, the most obvious metaphor in the movie, the first time I watched it, I didn't even catch it at all.
Yeah, that read to me on the first time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. There's milk shower.
The milk bath.
The milk bath, not shower. Yeah, I mean, I like the questions. Okay, the two meta moments. Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So the first one, I think, is when you see the gear again. You see, so right before they catch an eye on the farmer, who may or may not have seen them before they steal the corn, you see the gear with the factory thing. And that's a hark back to the very beginning, the opening credits. You know, right? The spinning gear.
I mean, I know the credits. I don't remember the moment you're talking about.
Really? Right before, yeah. And then, so basically, they see a spinning gear. That's and then they get a context. We get a context for what the spinning gear at the beginning, like where it's located in the film. You get like an actual eye on it, and then, man, I'm losing my train of thought so much. Yeah,
that's what this film does to you.
Yeah. Okay, and then they see a chalk writing. Man, they see a chalk writing on the geary metally thing, and it says, "What are you looking at?" And what I thought of that moment was like, it's almost like right from the beginning, it was there the entire time, and the movie is asking, "What are you looking at right now?"
Oh, I can see that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, why are you bothering even to watch this nonsense?
Right. Exactly. But it's also the film questioning itself what it is. That's why it does so many crazy editing things.
Another maybe meta moment, I wouldn't really call this meta, but like just like an interesting way to contrast is the dancers who are like doing the sort of the 1920s style dance, and then the two girls having their little drunk adventures, and getting more and more crazy, and having like, first they're like separate, but then like the serious dancers, I saw that as a metaphor, sort of like the proper people, or like the proper, I mean, if they're making fun of filmmakers specifically, like those are the proper filmmakers who entertain. That's sort of how I took that. And then like they're looking at everyone's looking at the drunk girls, and I'm like, what the fuck is their problem? Out and stuff. And,
I like how there was not a single line of dialogue in that scene.
Yeah,
that's super
made that
cool.
really strong. Yeah. Another thing is how it would just shift between color palettes,
right,
and color filters, with abandon, without even caring about like there are times when there are shifts so you could tell, oh, something just important happened. Yeah. But sometimes it would just shift between them, and it didn't seem to mean anything. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's the stuff that's really really baffling. Yeah. Yeah, you reach a point where things just don't matter.
And like me being a sound guy, I really caught on to the times when they were doing that with sound too.
Like the typewriter.
Yeah, the typewriter. Which like at first is absurd, but then it comes back at the end with like the typewriter typing out the words. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or like during that same scene, someone starts singing.
There's a dude singing.
It's like, wait, they're singing. Okay. And like by that point of the film, it's just like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy, because before we started the film, I said there's a chance that if we really buy into it, our discussion is going to be longer than the film itself. But at this point,
yeah, we're only 20 minutes
actually,
in.
this is one of the more, we're struggling. We're struggling with this one.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating. Yeah, this film is, its ideas are so clear, but at the same time, its minutiae are so trivial.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said, like, it defies analysis.
Yeah, I guess
that's
true.
What it feels like. I mean, you could talk about it, and there's things that are being communicated.
Uh-huh.
But it's like it doesn't even want you to care.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You know, we can talk about more things, like, oh, the scene with the butterflies. Why does the guy say death first, and then she's covering her body with it? But, like, is there a point?
Yeah.
And I love, like, the role of the... I really like the makeup lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think she's... Yeah, I think she's just a cool character. She's always, like... She just accepts... She accepts them, but she doesn't quite get them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that. But see, that's as far as I can go about talking about her.
Yeah.
You can't go any deeper than that.
Yeah.
At least that's the struggle I have. I'm sure there are people who write, like, 100-page books on this movie.
Yeah, I can see that,
Yeah.
definitely.
I don't know if that's being try-hard or if there's any validity in it, but, hey, it's a cool film. That's for sure.
And I've never seen anything like it.
Uh-huh.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So is it 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
4.
It's 4. Here it is. All right. I think that's it.
This is the shortest video we've ever done.
Yeah.
Look at us. Wow.
We watched... Okay, that's not fair. But if we... What's the other film's name?
Ottman?
Huh? Ottman. Yeah, and Ottman... It's because we did the Balderdash, so we can't really compare the two. But, like, that ended up being 20 minutes with the Balderdash part. But this is a very short talk.
Yeah.
I'm glad the film exists.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
That's it.
Bye.